Hey, good morning. It's Friday morning, March 4th. Thanks so much for being here today. Recently we've been thinking about things that are protective of relationships. How can we protect relationships? How can we both see that in other people and perhaps in ourselves? How to be aware of things, how not to be taken in, how to help protect our children from that. Well, one angle we haven't talked about very much in this series, but I've talked about a lot previously, is anger. And I want to be appropriate, totally appropriate, to get understanding of anger, how that does not protect relationships, but destroys them. Not only destroys other people, destroys us as well. With all the raging power of a forest fire, is what James alludes to. Solomon gives us insight into the damage that anger causes. And as the thumbnail this morning indicates, anger consumes and envelops everyone, even the one who's being angry. No one is free from it. And it does not produce the good life that God desires, either for you or for the person you're angry at. Here's some wisdom from Proverbs chapter 15. 4 verses that need to go together, 2 couplets that need to go together here. We often deal with the first one, but we've got to deal with all 4 as a unit. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly. The tongue of the wise commends knowledge. That's an important point for us to understand, to build and grow with. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch over the wicked and the good. That means that when we have reason for anger, God's not absent. We can trust him. He sees it all. He doesn't miss anything. And then the last part, the tongue of this that brings healing is a tree of life. As we're going to look at in just a moment, gentle words, soft words bring life, bring healing. However, the perverse tongue, a deceitful tongue, your translation will say something like deceitful or perhaps perverse, which is a better word here. A perverse tongue crushes or fractures the spirit. And that angry tongue, that perverse tongue, is referring back to verse 1. A harsh word stirs up anger. So let's look at these verses a little more carefully to get a feel for them. A gentle answer turns away wrath. It just pushes it away, sends it in exactly the opposite direction. It does what Jesus does for our sins. The Greek word here in the Septuagint for the Hebrew is propitiate. It takes the anger and redirects it, and so it doesn't go on us. That's what a gentle answer does. But the flip side of that is a harsh word, an angry word, just stirs up the anger. And the reason for the oil and the fire and the water and the thumbnail this morning is this idea here, a harsh word stirs up anger. In the Hebrew, it's the idea of almost like pouring oil on a fire. And maybe that's where James gets his analogy from in chapter 3 about the tongue being a spark to take down an entire forest. That's what anger does. It consumes everyone. It's an enveloping cancer. It fractures the spirit of the person you're talking to, and it damages your own spirit. But it seems so right at the time, but it is so destructive. That's why Solomon says the tongue of the wise commends knowledge. That's why I emphasized it a minute ago. We want to build up. We want to encourage. We want to strengthen. Harsh words don't do that. Rather, the mouth of the fool gushes folly. The one who acts as if there is no God, who doesn't trust God, that gushing of folly are the harsh words, are the anger, which pour oil on the fire and just see it envelop. That's what Solomon's urging us to. Paul means it too when he warns us about get rid of anger in Ephesians 4. And then, as I said a moment ago, the eyes of the Lord are everywhere. He's got this. We don't have to worry about something getting by God. And then finishing it off, the tongue that brings healing is a tree of life, which again, in the Hebrew parallel structure, begins the section we looked at. A gentle answer turns away wrath. The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life. So it turns away wrath, and it brings healing and hope. But the perverse tongue, that which doesn't speak which is true, that which is gushing forth with anger, it crushes the spirit, fractures the spirit. Fractures in the Hebrew. It's a strong, devastating term. This is what is so toxic and dangerous and destructive to relationships. Anger destroys not only the person we're talking to, but it consumes us as well. We're not satisfied. We have the outburst, we have the momentary venting, but all that's left in its wake is our brokenness because we haven't depended upon God and the person we've fractured and crushed, which may only cause them to respond more to cause the problems. If we want to be protected in relationships and bring honor to God and bring healing to our own life, anger will not get that accomplished. Anger will turn us away. A gentle answer turns away wrath. The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life. Don't go the route of burning things up and consuming it and pouring oil on the fire. Rather, be a part of healing, not only for the person you're talking to, but also for yourself. Because God will bless your words of healing. Your words of anger, they protect no one, least of all you. Parents, this is huge for us, but it's siblings, anyone you get time, we struggle with anger because people are idiots. They're selfish, okay? But God knows that. And he wants us to respond with kindness and gentleness because that's where the power is. Anger is a false hope, a false power, because it promises victory. All it brings is massive destruction. And that's the thought for the day. Thanks so much for being here with me, and Lord bless you. Check us out, everydaytalk247.com. If you haven't subscribed, turn on post notifications. Videos will come right to you. Again, thank you for your comments and your support. And Lord willing, we'll be seeing you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.